A very good morning wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to today's Sports Chat. My name is Lynn Washira, and this morning it's all about golf. We, of course, looking at the present, the past, probably, and the future. I have a very, very, very amazing panel in studio. On my extreme left, yes, is the Chairman Professional Golfers of Kenya Association, Jacob Okello. Next to me is Greg Snow. He's been termed by many as the future of Kenya. He will be telling us when that future is going to be present. But first things first, I'll start with you. And it's a question from a viewer. A viewer wanted to know, what's the difference between professional and amateur golfers?
Professional golfers are paid to play golf. When they come into a golf course, they are paid to play golf, and also they teach people how to play golf. When you want to start golf, they come and teach you properly to learn how to play golf. There are so many quacks around who purport to be golfers who can teach, but the professional golfers are basically to teach you and make you learn how to play golf. Yeah.
And this same viewer wanted to know, the former presidents, Moi Kibaki and Chris Kirubi, are they professional golfers or amateur golfers? What kind of golfers are they?
The former president and Chris Kirubi are amateur golfers. They play golf for fun. They basically go out there. Some of them play it just as an exercise. Instead of going to the gym, they play for fun. That's why.
But how can it be for exercise? Many people think, I mean, it's just golf, you know, like you just need to swing.
It's a concept. It's a myth. People have thought that playing golf is it's all about fun, just walking and nothing exercise. If you're going to walk 7 kilometers and playing golf 7 kilometers, if I tell you now to walk 7 kilometers from here to town, you won't. It will be tiring. But now you're going around walking 7 kilometers. You've burnt how many calories? And if you walk 7 kilometers, there's a lot of calories burnt. Then you sit down, have just one drink, and then you go home. That's what normally happens, you know.
And of course, coming to Greg, you're fresh from winning the KCB Pro-Am Golf in Thika, I think this past weekend. But first things first, Kenya Open, you know, what happened?
It was just one of those weeks. I was really prepared for the Open, going into the Open that week. I just didn't really score, and that's where you got to score and shoot the results if you're going to score. I didn't really score that week, and unfortunately the week after last week's performance, winning the KCB, everything just happened and everything was good.
Okay, and I'll come back to you, Okello. Of course, you're the best placed Kenyan in the Kenya Open, having finished second in 1998, and you're actually beaten via playoff. What was that experience like?
It was an experience that it's someone nobody can think about it much now at the moment, because you are in a zone. I was in a zone. The zone was my own zone, and I was just, when you realize that you are winning the tournament, that's when the pressure comes in more, when you're going for the playoff. But as you are playing the hole by hole, you don't think about who's in front of you, as long as even you don't look at the leaderboard. Basically, there are some of us who don't like looking at the leaderboard. You try and avoid knowing who's ahead of you. So what happens is you just concentrate on your shot by shot by shot, hole by hole, shot by shot, until when you finish. Then when I had finished, then I realized, oh, I'm going for the playoff. That's when the pressure hits. You know that now it's about the two of you. Whoever has a lower score wins the tournament.
How old were you then?
I was young. It's 98. I was very young.
Okay, were you older than Greg right now?
I was almost the same age like Greg now, right now.
Okay, so Greg, I mean, many people since, I guess, 4 years ago have looked at you and said Greg Snow is the future of Kenyan golf, the future of Kenya Open. If someone is probably to win or to at least get to where Okello got, it would be you. Do you think you're almost getting there, and what do you need to do?
Yeah, definitely. Probably another couple of years playing outside the country and competing in such tournaments like the Kenya Open would enable me to hopefully try win the Kenya Open in the near future.
And many people I spoke to at the Kenya Open, many of the competitors said that the reason as to why most of the Kenyan golfers don't do so well is because sometimes it's lack of discipline. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, no, definitely. Every sport you have to have discipline, and without discipline, I don't think you can really have a career, to be honest. So yeah, I agree with that in some ways, but I mean, it's up to the person to decide whether they're going to be disciplined or not.
And Okello, what are Kenyan golfers doing wrong?
It's lack of sponsorship. As you've said before, it's discipline and lack of sponsorship. See, basically what happens is when, for you to make it to the top level, you need to be sponsored. Just standing professional and playing well in Kenya Open, when you're being told to play well in Kenya Open, then I'll sponsor you. Yeah? Instead of somebody coming in and taking you from the beginning, you know, you're being picked up from the beginning, whereby, like Greg now, if somebody will sponsor him from the start, now it's cheaper to sponsor him now when he hasn't made it to the top, than if he makes it to the top and you want to sponsor him, it will be more expensive for you. Because, okay, I'll give you a good example. Let's say this, it will cost you to sponsor Standard Group, it will cost Standard Group to sponsor Greg 3 million now, because they're starting. He goes his way, he struggles his way and gets to the top level. Standard Group will come back and say, oh, they want to sponsor Greg now. It will cost you 30 million. Same guy, when he was here, when he came to the studios and everything has come in now, he's walked in, everything is fine, perfect. But now when he gets to the next level, the zeros will be many. Eh? There's not, leave alone the 3 million start, it will be 10 to 30 times, 10 to 40 times more. Because now he's being also, even from the companies from outside the country, are also willing to give him money. So will he come to Standard Group? No. Will he go to Nike? Yes. Will he go to, let's say, breweries to this time? No, because breweries won't be able to give him the same amount. The idea is to try and get somebody who can give you the amount to start with and to be comfortable when you're playing.
I really love how you're soliciting for sponsorship from the Standard Group live on air for him. It's a good thing. And Greg, I would just love to know how important is sponsorship for a golfer? And for you, what has your experience been in matters sponsorship? Have you had to self-sponsor yourself? Do you have a sponsor?
No, I don't have a sponsor right now. But I think it's important to have a sponsor, especially going into tournaments, for example, in Europe and places like that where it's very, very costly. It eases off the pressure for the player once they have a sponsorship. They don't have to worry about where they're going to stay, where they finish. If they don't finish in this position, then they're going to pay for their accommodation, they're going to pay for their flight. So I think it is a big key factor, and it does ease off the pressure off the player.
How much, an estimate, do you spend in a year?
It's a good question. Probably about $30,000.
Wow. Do you get it back? You know, can you say that golf is paying your bills? No, be honest. It's
the way I was playing last year, it wasn't. Hopefully this year it will pay my bills. Yeah.
Jacob, looking at Kenya and the golf status right now, where would you place Kenya in Africa?
Kenya, apart from South Africa, Zimbabwe, I think we're the third best. And Morocco would consider themselves not to be Africans more, but apart from that, we have got better players, we've got the best weather, and we have got players who can really work hard for their game. It's lack of, as you're saying, lack of lots of tournaments. Then we are looking forward to trying. Maybe this year we might get more tournaments for them to play, so that Greg will get, you know, when he's at home here, it's easy to make a little bit of a living off the tournaments we are playing.
And what other opportunities do you think Kenya can explore to just make sure that we discover talent, we also grow talent? Because
what you're trying to do now as the professional golfers of Kenya is to try and get different companies to try, and we are starting to take golf to the mashinani, as people say, take it to the mashinani, to the government schools, primary schools. The best idea is to take it to the government schools, primary schools, so whereby you start it from there, take 11-year-old, 12-year-old, from 7-year-old and above, so that we have them start playing golf. Then we are hoping that some of the government will cut the taxes down for the golf equipment, whereby we can get the equipment in for zero rated like any other sport, most of the other sports. Because at the moment you have to pay your taxes. You have to pay your taxes on your golf equipment. That's why it makes it very expensive, and for the machinani guys, because most of them cannot afford it.
And Greg, do you think that the Kenya Golf Union and the government is doing enough to grow the sport in the country?
I think they could do a bit more. They can, they can do a little bit more than they're doing right now in terms of advertising it better, bringing in tournaments like the KCB Tour, bring more tournaments, especially like amateur series, and try and involve other people from outside the country, people like in Europe, and so that way it will improve the Kenyan standards of golf.
And you've been very lucky to take part in some tournaments in Europe. How was your experience? How would you compare, tournaments in Europe and tournaments in the country?
It's a completely different comparison. I mean, the strength and depth out there in Europe is really, really strong. I mean, anybody can win any week. It's not a selective couple of guys that can. Everybody's very, very competitive. And in the country, if we can get, I thank KCB a lot for what they're doing right now. The KCB Tour, I think we can improve the KCB Tour in the next 3-4 years and bring in players from outside the country to come compete with us in the KCB Tour.
And Jacob, what are some of the things that PGK, Professional Golfers of Kenya, is doing to make sure, professional golfers keep on growing? They're not just stagnant, where we keep on saying, next year probably a Kenyan will win the Kenyan Open. Then it comes, it goes, then we have to wait for the next year and the next year.
It's a myth, it's everything. Every time everybody has said the same thing. Every year we are waiting for a Kenyan to win. But like this year we had companies that came in and sponsored us. Kenya Airways gave us 6 tournaments. KCB last year gave us another 6 tournaments. We are so lucky, as of beginning of January, we had lots of tournament playing. We were hoping that the guys would play much better. Competition that we played before Kenya Open, guys scored very well. The scores were very well, excellent scores, and we are hoping that with a 2 weeks break, then they come to Kenya Open, they'll be fine. But basically what KPGK we are trying to do is maybe next year we'll get tournaments until we get to a week before Kenya Open, then they have to rest. The week before Kenya Open they rest, then the 1 week break, then they come back to the tournament. Maybe there'll be more of them playing. Apparently, because some of them felt like pressurized, there was lots of pressure because they didn't play a week before. Depends on individuals. Some play a week before, some plays a week after. So some of us, most of the Kenyans would like to play week in, week out. And the sponsors who come in, no matter how little we get from them, it's fine, but as long as we keep on playing, they'll be fine. It'll be excellent. And
at the closure of Kenya Open, some golfers actually complained about, the build-up tournaments to Kenya Open apparently are not organized in the same way as Kenya Open. The golfers are not taken to the best golf courses to play. And some of them are saying, we should have been brought to Karen.
No, what normally happens is during Kenya Open, the course is set up differently, like a European style of setting up. So what we're trying to do with most of the courses is to try and make them to set it up, the greens to be a little bit firmer and a little bit quicker, so that it's when you're, like being a golfer, when you're around the green, trying to chip around the green. If you're going to play today, I'll give you an example. If you're going to play the week before at Karen, the greens would be softer. So you chip and it stops very quickly. Now come Kenya Open, they have top dressed it with sand, a little bit of sand on top, so the ball cannot stop quicker, it just bounces a bit. So everybody who can chip well, they'll tell you that it doesn't stop as faster than what we is used to. So we try and get them to play courses whereby the greens are harder. It's only that, unfortunately, the speeds cannot be the same speeds at Kenya Open at 10.5 in steep meter. We're trying to get the speeds. We normally try to get the guys who organize the courses to make them to be about 8 to 9, so that guys will get used to the speed. If we play at Mafaiga today, the speeds will be 10, but they'll be a little bit softer, so that even if I'm hitting my second shot, Even let's say I give you an example, is I'm hitting a 5-iron at Muthaiga today on a par 5. So my 5-iron will stop. Come Kenya Open, I know I'll see the same shot, it won't stop as quickly as because the greens are a little bit firmer. That's basically what we can try, and we'll try and do that and set it up and see what will happen.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, Greg. On the last day of the Kenya Open, I think all the Kenyan golf fans were, following Indiza from each hole. For you, how much pressure did you have?
A lot of pressure, obviously. It's been the home tournament and it's the last day of the event. You're in the chance for winning the event. But I tried blocking out the whole situation and just focusing on my game, getting into the zone, like Jacob had mentioned earlier. And unfortunately, I didn't win the event, finished top 10. But I took a lot of positives out of that, and hopefully if I'm in the situation again next time, I think I've learned now and matured, and I know how to handle the situation better.
And finally, I mean, Kenya Open is over. Until next year, what are your plans for the year?
I'm going to be flying out of the country probably June. Going to go play a bit out in Europe, Challenge Tour, and the Middle East for the rest of the year.
And Jacob, parting shots. What is in store for Kenya professional golfers for the rest of the season?
The rest of the season we're trying to organize. I think from July we are getting a few more tournaments. We're in discussion with Kenya Open Limited, whereby there are a few tournaments they're trying to organize for us. We're hoping if it works, it will be almost, excuse me, almost the tournament will be East African region-wise, whereby the Ugandan, Tanzanian, Burundis, and maybe there's Zimbabweans and Zambians will come over, and we play a few tournaments from July to Kenya Open 2016. Because what we are trying to do, we are trying to put a series of more tournaments with different people from the region, so that we find out how many of guys can sustain the pressure when you get 10 good Zimbabweans who are playing, 10 good Zambians who come in and play. Ugandans will play. If you know that Ugandans have won the Zone 6 for the first time, which means their golf is improving more faster than us. But the idea, as basically we're saying, for us, we will try and make sure that we start developing golfers.
Okay.
Golfers from the younger from age of 12. Olympics is 2016. We are late.
Very late.
We are very late. We hope we can qualify. We hope Greg will be there and qualify for Kenya, because we believe there will be a zonal qualifying.
Okay.
There will be a zonal qualifying. Then we know exactly that once the zonal qualifying comes, in our zone, which Kenya will be put on zone 5.
Okay.
So we can be
so all the best. Time is not on our side. Yeah. And Greg, all the best as you try to qualify. I hope you actually do. Thank you so very much for allowing us to wake you up so early. It was a pleasure having you, and that's all we had lined up for you in today's sports chat. I'm